Ladies and gentlemen, grab your tea and get ready for Tea Talk, where the topics are real, relevant, and relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here's Lady O.
Thank you, Tracy. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Tea Talk. I'm so happy that you have joined us today. I tell you, it's going to be an informative day on a subject that many of us don't know a whole lot about. But today, after today, we're going to know everything we need to know about a disease that's called Alzheimer's. And we met up with this disease some years ago, and we didn't know what it was. But over the years, have you ever had elderly people that started to just kind of change, and we would say they're just getting old and senile? Well, back in the day, that's what we thought it was. They're just getting old and senile, but we're finding out it's more than just being old and senile. It's a medical condition, and there are several of them, and so we're going to talk about them today. So why don't you get on the line and tell somebody they need to join in? We're going to talk about how to identify Alzheimer's and its many forms. We're going to talk about how to care for them, different forms of care, in-home care, out-of-home care. We're going to hear stories of a couple of ladies who are dealing with caring for their loved ones in their home. And of course, I can share with you about caring for our loved one who's in a facility. We also have a young lady here today who has her own facility that can tell you everything you want to know about a facility, what her facility offers, where it is. And we have a specialist that's going to tell you how to connect all the pieces together. Okay. So you get all these juggling pieces. So what do I do? Where do I go? And so many people suffer needlessly because they don't know that there is help. And so I'm going to start off first with welcoming Erica Williams to Tea Talk, because she has a lot of information that you really want to get to know this young lady. Hello, Erica, and welcome to Tea Talk. Are you frozen? Okay. Okay. She might be frozen because she's not moving. She usually doesn't look like that. She looks mean on there. You're frozen. Did you move your computer to another room? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll come back to Erica because it looks like she's got to get her computer unfrozen. Erica, usually it means you have to move to a certain part of your room closer to your internet service. So check on that, and then we'll come back to you. Let's go ahead and start off then with a couple of stories from ladies who are actually experiencing this. I'll tell you what, let's bring Miss Carolyn on first. Maybe she can tell us a little bit more. Miss Carolyn, can you tell us, because you've dealt with Erica and you've dealt with this firsthand. Is she back? Hold on a minute. Let's see. There she is, Miss Carolyn.
Yes.
How do you pronounce your last name? I'm sorry, I said Lawrence, but is that right?
It's Lorenz.
Loretz, okay.
Lorenz,
is that
yes.
French?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Loretz. When I saw the double L, I was like, wait a minute. I didn't ask her how to pronounce. Well, listen, welcome to Tea Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we're so happy to have you. And this subject that we're dealing with is a thief. I mean, it just destroys a lot and steals from you a lot of your life. And I know that you see it every day. Can you kind of give us, while Erica's coming back, what is Alzheimer's and how do you identify it?
It's in different form. You have different forms of dementia and Alzheimer's. I feel it all falls into the same thing. There's just many different forms.
Okay.
I'm getting nervous.
That's okay. So just talk. Tell me what kind of form. So what do you see? What kind of people do you have there in your because you have a facility?
I have a facility, and 3 to 4 of my residents have dementia.
Okay.
Okay. And one is to do with alcoholism.
Okay.
And the other one is vascular. You know, you can get vascular dementia. You can get alcoholism. Through alcoholism as well. You can
Wow.
yes, you can all. It also falls underneath the umbrella of Parkinson's.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about each one of those real quickly. So alcohol. So if you are an alcoholic, you could
Yes.
damage your, is it damaging your brain that makes
It's
it?
your brain. It's your brain. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Your
Wow.
heart is damaging your heart, and you know how you have your heart is connected to your brain a little bit, and stuff. So it all connects in as well. And I'm also starting to think that MS is going to be soon a part of the dementia, because MS also is with your speech, your walking abilities, your incontinent,
Right.
all that.
And so when you talk about that, it deals with it in the form of you forget how to do that.
Yes, you forget
Okay.
how to do it.
You forget how to walk. You
You
forget how to
forget
speak.
how to walk. You forget how to feed yourself or eat. When you're getting to the point where you can no longer swallow, you're that person's towards the end
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
Okay. But
And that's because pretty much they will choke on their food, or if they
yes,
can't swallow, they'll
they can't.
starve. Or
They will aspirate.
aspirate. We don't know these terms. What is
I'm
that?
sorry, aspirating. I'm sorry. Aspirating means if I give someone liquid and they choke on it.
Okay.
Okay. That liquid is going down the
The
wrong
wrong
way,
type.
and they
Okay.
don't know how to retrieve that or to react to that.
Okay.
So
Okay. Very good.
that will cause aspiration as
Okay.
well.
Okay. Now I'm remembering. So aspiration is kind of really where you choke.
Yes.
Kind of
Yes.
choke. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And that makes sense too. When you said MS, I know we had a friend who was same thing, like you loss of walking, loss of speaking, loss. It kind of keeps going down, and then the feeding becomes a problem. And I think that's what happened when he finally
Yes.
passed away.
Your memory, your long-term memory, and then you've got your short-term memory. Your long-term memory will mostly be you can remember what happened when you were younger.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Right.
Short-term memory is you remember what happened yesterday. Okay.
Right.
Most people, okay, with dementia is going to remember back in the day.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's why we encourage for families to bring old pictures
Mm-hmm.
of the loved one, old
Right.
pictures of their family members. They're not going to
Right.
remember the great grandkids or the
Right.
grandkids pictures or anything like that, and that hurts so much for family, and it takes
Right.
a lot to get that family to kind of understand that they're not.
Right.
It's not them.
Right.
It's the disease. Okay.
It's the disease.
Yes.
And that is so, this is one of the first signs that I knew that my mother-in-law really had more than just senility or just being, and I thought she was being mean. I really did think she was, because we never really kind of got along a little bit when we were younger. So I thought she's being mean to me. I would come in the room where she was and I said, "Hey, what's on TV?" And she goes, "I don't know." And I said, so what are they doing? What are they talking about? And she says, "They're just talking. They're just talking jibber jabber." She said, "They're making noise." And I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
But she literally could not remember in a 30-minute show. She could remember from 10-minute increments what happened that way. And if you're going to build on a show, you got to know what's going on. And she actually did not know. And I thought she was not telling me the truth.
Yes. No, she was telling you the truth. She just didn't remember. We have residents that could eat at 5:00. Okay. And 15 minutes later, I'm hungry. That person's forgotten that they've eaten. And this, we have to train the caregivers to be sensitive. It's not that they're trying to be insensitive, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
How you say it, yeah.
Kind of thing. We don't want to say you've just eaten. you know,
Right.
and bring them to the room or bring them in front of the TV. Well, are you still hungry? Would you like, another
Right.
half a sandwich or whatever it is, um,
Right.
just redirecting them
Redirecting
and under
themselves.
and understanding them. And yes, we can get awfully mean.
Well, it's because you don't know. I think you don't understand it. When my mother-in-law told me that, and I really started to understand later on about the disease, I realized that she really could not remember from, and even the eating thing. I took her out to eat lunch one day, doing something nice, and so she was stopped. She ate. She's real fast. She ate her food, and she stopped, and she just kept looking at me, putting her hands crossed like that. And I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Well, you gonna sit right there and eat in front of my face, not offer me any food?" And I said, "But you already had your dinner." She said, "I did." And I said, "Yeah, you ate all of it." And she did not remember, just in that little setting there. So
And
you
that's
just
and
have to.
that's a sign. That's a sign. It's a sign. A sign of them needing help is when they leave the house in the middle of the night. When
Yeah.
they're forgetting. They don't know you.
Right.
A lot of folks know how to hide it
Right.
as well at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Um, but it eventually catches up to
It
them.
does.
Okay.
Exactly.
Their attitudes, their mannerism, just discover.
They're different there, and that's why I said at the beginning it's a thief, because it robs of who that person was. So
Yes.
who you knew
Yes.
them and back in the day, they're not the same person.
Hmm.
So let's let Mama. Let's see, Mama Alice, are you on? Why don't you come on and tell us? We'll come back to you, Miss Carolyn, because we do want to talk about in the end how we get to get more information about getting help. But I wanted to see if Mama Alice or Erica came on. Did she get back yet? There she is. Hey, you unfrozen?
I'm unfrozen.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay, we were talking about dementia, but there's a difference in dementia and Alzheimer's. Can you tell us the difference in what is Alzheimer's? Because we got a pretty good understanding of dementia.
Right. And Alzheimer's is just a type of dementia. It's all representative of different types of cognitive declines, but
Okay.
Alzheimer's is just a type of dementia. And sometimes you'll hear a physician say that they're just having cognitive decline. And that literally is
Cognitive
just a slowing,
decline,
right. And
and
that's
it's still
literally just a
dementia.
slowing of the brain functioning. That's
So,
dementia.
okay,
But
is that the first
mhm.
one? So, going from graduated, it's like cognitive
You'll have
delay.
lots of people have cognitive decline as we get
I know
older.
I do.
It's just your brain is a muscle, just like everything else, and you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
But dementia is actually the disease of the brain,
Okay.
where it's beyond just your natural cognitive decline. And
Okay.
so, an Alzheimer's is a type of dementia, and literally you can see when people have MRIs of the brain, they'll see it'll look like white because the vessels or the brain is plaqued, like it's no longer even like blood flowing to certain areas of the brain.
Ah, okay, okay. So, okay,
Right. And those are some of the differences. And even you may hear some people that might have Parkinson's and they'll say they have Parkinson's related dementia. And it just comes with all those different illnesses. Or you'll hear people say vascular dementia, and that might be somebody that had a stroke and different veins and different vessels have closed off, or blood
okay,
clots have formed in those areas. So it's
right.
different types of dementia, and
Dementia. And
Alzheimer's is a
Alzheimer's is just one type of dementia.
right.
Alzheimer's is a
Right.
type of dementia. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so let me ask you this: let's go to the medication. Is there medication to stop Alzheimer's or dementia?
They have medications that slow the process. And I
Okay.
can honestly say that there are some people that the medicine doesn't even work on. Like I've encountered people that are taking the medications and it doesn't do
It's not stopping it.
anything different for them. But I mean, some people for them, and it'll slow the progress. There's no cure as of now. They're doing lots of research, and what I have seen is that they say just do things a little bit differently, like for yourself, and even for your aging family members, to try to get them to do things differently. If you're a right-handed person, try to use your left hand sometimes. It
Mhm.
just creates the pathways in the brain to continue to function. And so,
Okay.
how we always drive home the same way, and you get from
Yeah.
point A to point B, and you've never thought about it.
Right.
So, when you're doing those processes, you're not letting those pathways actually function at the highest capacity to keep everything moving, just like your body. And
Right.
the thing is that just change up some things and go home a different way, or just do things
Is
differently.
this to exercise the brain to get an
It's
exercise? Is that why you're
exercising
doing
your
that?
brain.
Do
Hmm.
something different. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you
Something
this real
different.
quick. I've been wanting to ask you about this one. Does Prevagen, is that something that y'all recommend for Alzheimer's or dementia?
Different doctors will recommend different things. And so some of them will, but of course, let me be clear that I'm not a medical professional.
Okay.
Um, so
But
I
have you
just
tried
listen.
Prevagen? I want to know if in the chat has anybody tried Prevagen because I'm getting ready to go get me some, and I want to know, does it work?
Right, right. Some people say it does, some people say it doesn't.
Okay. All right.
But there are lots of different medicines that the doctors and neurologists are the ones that you
That
see
can tell
when
you.
you
So in order to
anticipate
determine
things
if you
like
really
brain.
have it, you have to go to a neurologist and they do
Mhm.
a bunch of
They have
tests. And,
tests that they do. Sometimes it's just oral tests. They'll have questions and talking to the
yeah,
person. And
right.
then a lot of times they want to do an MRI of the brain.
Because in that brain, they can tell if it's all white, that means that the
Right.
plaque is set
Or
in and the blood is not
sometimes it's
getting to the
not
brain.
even exactly. Sometimes they're looking at the blood flow through the brain. Sometimes people have shrinkage of the brain.
Yeah, I heard that the brain can
So it's
shrink.
different things.
Okay, okay. So next question, and then we're going to hear some testimonies here from some people who are actually caring for people. I know that you connect with someone. I'll bring you back at the end. You're Miss Carol on how to connect people.
Hmm.
Okay, but the question I was going to ask you was, how do you? What are the early signs? How do you know you need to go to a neurologist? When is that time?
Sometimes it's small things, like if you notice that somebody is repeating things. If you notice, I'm going to give you an example. Somebody that you love their food, they always cook a lot,
Uh huh.
and you love their food, and you notice that their food just doesn't taste the same. It's not nearly as good
Yeah.
anymore because they
Yeah.
don't remember if they put something in or if they need to put more of something in. So
That's a good one.
it could be small things, or
Yeah.
they call you 2 or 3 times asking you the same question.
Thing. Yeah.
It's little different things
Things.
that
Okay.
sometimes people that live with them will not notice because they're in a routine
Right.
and very comfortable in their own surroundings. So
Right.
people that live with them may not even notice, but
Right.
outsiders would notice.
Wow. Wow. And if you haven't been with them, because when you said that, I was like, oh my goodness. Way back in the day, Miss Decker, my mother-in-law wanted us to come over for Thanksgiving dinner, and she was just insisting. And we went there, and the food was awful, And she's a good cook, but like you said, she probably forgot what she put in there in the past, and
Hmm.
I just didn't know that until just this minute that could have been a sign years ago.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Her
yeah.
cooking changed.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
That was a big thing that I noticed even with one of our family members, that she was an amazing cook. And then all of a sudden little things start to change. Even
Wow.
with some of the clients that I have,
Right.
their family will say, Mama, Mom, one, okay, so one thing is, Mama never cursed. Mama never used any foul language.
Then
And
all of a
all of
sudden
a
it comes
sudden,
up.
because they will lose their filter,
Yes. And
they
say
will lose
anything,
their
huh?
filter and say anything. And so you
Ooh.
slowly start seeing personality changes,
Okay. Okay. All
even
right.
those type of things.
And that's real good to know because Thanksgiving is coming up and we have family meals and things like that are coming around. So I would say be very sensitive. Somebody's food doesn't taste the same. Don't hurt their feelings. Just, put it in a special place to later on when you can eat it. But Erica, don't go away. I want to come back with you in just a minute, but I want to go next to Dr. Kamala. Would you come on next and talk to us? Now Dr. Kamala is, she has parents. She has a very unique situation. She's caring for both parents in her home. Tell us about that story a little bit. How did you finally realize, okay, something's not right? What did you do, and how did you end up taking them into your home? And how's it working? In 10 minutes, probably less.
In 10 minutes. Okay, that's a long story in 10
I
minutes.
know,
But
right?
I'll try to fit it in. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me on Tea Talk. It's a pleasure to share my story. It was about 7 years ago, actually 7 years ago last month, that I brought my parents to live with me. Both my parents they have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It was initially my father, and the way what we noticed was changes in his behavior. One of the things he did repeatedly was check the mailbox. And like someone mentioned earlier, someone brought that to our attention. We didn't live with them at home. So a neighbor brought it to our attention that he was checking the mailbox frequently, maybe 10 times a day.
Wow.
When we think back on it now, I've written some things down. My mom was still working probably at the time of the onset of my dad's decline in cognitive ability. And they used the calendar quite frequently. She would refer to the calendar, he would refer to the calendar. And that was her way of letting him know that where she was. When you called, he would always go to the calendar. Um, then over time, and I don't really know how long, because he was not officially diagnosed until after he came to live with me, but we noticed it being a lot of just forgetfulness, not bathing, not changing clothes, those kinds of things. So it wasn't until my parents came to live with me that I noticed also there was something going on with my mom. We knew that he was exhausting her trying to keep up with, and I heard someone else say earlier that they do a very good job of hiding it. I think in not just in our culture, but period, it's maybe an embarrassment that you don't remember things. So my parents have been married over 60 years, and they protect each other. And that's what she was doing for him. She was protecting him from us or anyone knowing that he wasn't functioning at the capacity that he formerly functioned at. So I bought them, I call it my daughtercation. It was not a vacation. It was a daughtercation state, and they stayed. They've been here ever since. They've never moved back to their house since.
Okay, let me interrupt you for a second.
Mhm.
So I know people don't like to move out of their homes, especially seniors. So did you feel like it was necessary, or did they ask, can we move in with you? How did that
Oh no.
conversation go?
No, they did not ask to move in with me. They did not know they were moving in with me.
They didn't know it?
No, they didn't know they were moving in with me. They were coming for me to help my mother, who had gotten a little wound on her leg from a mosquito bite. And
Okay, so they were
I was
coming like a little
helping her.
vacation.
So that was when the daughtercation began. So I was going to help her with that and help her with dad, because she was very much capable at that time, not of completely living on her own, because she was starting to do some things that let me know there were things going wrong with her too. But no, so we just moved her in. We just moved them in.
So you moved both of them in with the understanding you're just going to be for a little while. You're going to take care of the leg and da 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 da. And it got to be so long, and did you finally tell them they weren't going home, or they still think they're on vacation, or what?
Over time, I think that no, for years, it's been 7 years. So for years they asked, when are we going home? Can we go home? Can I go home? Can I go home? Initially, about the first year and a half they were here, I took them back to their home weekly to spend a little time there. They've not spent the night in their home since they moved with me. I would take them, they would see the neighbors, they would chat with the neighbors, they'd stay a little while we get in the car
that's
and we'd go
good,
back.
Pamela. That is so good. So you kind of wean them, you know. You didn't say,
exactly
no, you're coming with me. Because that would be always a conversation. I have a family member who's going through it now. She's kind of doing it that way. And so I see what she's doing. She's weaning her because she told me from the very beginning, she may think I'm coming out there to stay with her. I'm not coming to stay with her. I got a house.
Yeah.
So
It's very
hard.
difficult. I mean, we left things, and their house was just like it was when they left. I packed a little bit of their clothes, a little bit every time they went. We bring a few items back. We bring a few items back. We take a few. We bring a few back. So that went on for three years maybe.
Wow.
And finally, and at night at my house, they would ask, "We're ready to go home." And I would say, "Can you stay with me tonight? It's so late. And do you want me to drive in the dark? It's so late." And eventually, my mom was much more. I said her memory hadn't gone as much as my dad initially. So she was a little more with it at the time.
Okay.
But over time, it's like I say, 7 years later, her memory has also gotten
7
worse.
years.
They both have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Okay.
His is a different type of Alzheimer's. It has affected his brain differently. They both had scans. They both had all the tests. Hers is more vascular related. She doesn't have any symptoms related to Parkinson's. He has symptoms at this point that are similar or mimic Parkinson's. He does not have Parkinson's, but his Alzheimer's is a type that mimics Parkinson's. So it affects his walking and his mobility quite drastically. He's not bedridden at this point, but he's not walking on his own at this point. It's been very fast over COVID because they've been so isolated. So I've seen a very big decline in both of them in the last year because they haven't been able to get to some activities that they had. I mean, I'm going to say that that's part of the reason.
Exactly.
Isolated, and it's been very hard.
I bet it has been hard with this COVID and being locked in and everything. So tell me about you. Okay, now I know you have 2 children. I know you have a husband. I know you're sometimes caring for your husband too and supporting a lot of people. How are you doing, Kamala? How are you?
Well, it depends on the day. I have a lot of help from my at this point, I just recently got care. I think this was the first weekend that I have care.
This is your first week of having care?
Never be left alone. I'm sorry.
Are you saying this is your first week of you having care? I'm having a little hard time hearing you.
No, I have care, but I had care during the week when I worked. Okay. And then on weekends and in the evenings, some evenings I have help, some evenings I don't, but I didn't have help on weekends because I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And so I have someone coming in my home to help. But this weekend I started with care on the weekends as well.
Right. Because you need to have a life. And, I know you give up a lot on the weekends because they can't be left alone.
No.
At all.
They cannot be left alone at all. My children have been a great help to me. They don't live here anymore, so that's kind of hard. Well, one of them is part-time here, so but the other one doesn't live with me, but they still help when they can. Yeah. I've just been really, really blessed to be able to find and have good caregivers in my home.
Yeah.
So that's worked for me. It was a personal decision for me and my family not to put them in a facility. We looked early on. As a matter of fact, Erica was the person who helped me and looked around. But it was personal. I think it is personal to decide if you want to take on the responsibility of caring for your loved one with memory, cognitive, or whatever kind of situation would cause them to need care. But it's a big responsibility. You have to be very, very extremely organized. Mm-hmm. You have to be a planner. I can't say organized enough because there are things that I have to do and I have to attend to and I have to manage.
Yeah.
I manage their medical appointments, and they have a lot of them. I manage they still have their home, and I manage the upkeep of their home.
Oh, wow.
And
Dr. Kamala, I know what, your work is like and what you're having to do outside the home. And I know the excellent job you take care of your parents. And but this is a job that is really very serious. I know not last year, a couple of years ago, we had one of our deacons whose father walked off, and they didn't find him. They found his body, I think, a couple of years later. And it wasn't very far from the home, but one of the things that they do, that's why you have to have constant care. They will walk off and get lost and not know how to find their way back home. Same thing with driving. So I know you have to it's like a baby. You really cannot leave them by themselves and run to the store.
No, absolutely not.
No, you just cannot. So it's a big responsibility. Well, listen, I want you to think of some things too that maybe you can offer to people who are suggestions of things that they could do.
Okay.
And so if you can think about those and even start putting them in the chat or whatever, because what do you do if you decided that you're going to keep your parents? And the thing about parents is parents have always taken care of you. And you've seen them, run the job, run the house, run everything. And then now they're back and I won't say you have to treat them like children, but the care that it requires is, to me, similar to that of caring for a child. I don't mean that in a negative way, but I know we have Miss Decker here was like everything. We got to cook the 3 meals. She can't cook. She'll leave the fire on. We can't let her take a walk by herself. We have to go walk into the park with her. So what would be a suggestion or recommended or a tip or something that you would give to someone who is caring for parents?
You said it's like a child, and it really is. So I would think if you've had children, you need to go back and recall some of those things that you did when your babies were babies, like pack a diaper bag, have extra clothes, safeguard your house with the plugs and the cabinets where you can't open, and the locks, the doors that you can't open, and things like that. If you came to my house now, you'd see cameras, you see locks on doors, to the utility room, to the closets. There are locks, there's safeguards in place. They can't get out. Those kinds of things.
Right. And it's not being mean, it's for their safety. Because if you don't safeguard your house, you really are not protecting them, because they really don't know.
Yeah, so one of the first things I did, probably within months that they came to live with me, was put the things on the eyes of the stove. And have locks on the cabinets, different cabinets that they can't get in. So that was one of the first things that I did. So that would be something. Just recall some of those things. But it's my reasonable service to my parents. I don't regret it. I don't think it's for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's my reasonable service to my parents for what
they've done for me. God bless you. God bless you. May He keep you. And I pray that you get more support because it is something that you would hope that your children would do for you, that they wouldn't put you in a facility. But if not, we do have some really nice facilities that can help you when you cannot do it. So don't feel guilty about it, or, don't keep your parents and then you end up, having them get hurt or hurt themselves or something like that. That's not a noble thing. But if you can do it, it's a noble thing to do, but it is hard work and sacrifice. And I can't even begin to imagine the sacrifice on you mentally and physically, and even your own husband and your family, because everything changes. It's like when you get a baby in the house, everything changes, with you and your husband and the way you do things. So I want to just commend you. And we're going to jump on to Mama Alice now, because she has a different story to tell. And I want her to tell this, because where Kamala has been taking care of her parents, Mama Alice is taking care of her husband. And they've been married 53 years. And so you have this big, strong man that's been taking care of the family and running everything. And now you're taking care of your husband. Hello, Mama Alice.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you pretty good, but I can't see your head. So if you can move your camera tilted down more toward you, forward toward you, I think, right? Okay. That's coming closer. All right. Is the camera good, y'all? Because I can't see it anymore. That's good. That's perfect right there. Okay, Mama Alice, you've been married to this man 53 years. When did
No,
you first notice
50,
that something was
58
different
years.
about your husband? And I know having a husband, men don't want you telling them what to do, and they certainly don't want you, treating them like a baby or whatever. So tell us your story. How did you start to have realized your husband was needing some help?
Okay, first let me correct you. It's 58 years.
Okay, speak a little bit
Okay.
louder.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Just keep closer to the computer. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, let me say we've been married 58 years.
58
Um,
years.
yes, ma'am.
Woo! I thought
Uh,
53, 58. That's
no.
so berries that are married 53 today. That was in my mind.
Oh, okay.
58 years. Oh my God.
58 years, right. The way it started, he had a trauma to the head accident,
And
May
if you all can
24th.
hear, if you can't hear, let me know because it may be my computer that I'm not hearing very well. So just let me know so I don't keep interrupting. Okay, Mama Alice, go ahead.
Okay. He had a serious trauma to the head on May 24th, 2012. And he was in the hospital about 3 weeks and in a coma for 4 days. And after that, we moved him to a facility, rehab facility. He did well there. But after he got home, and we noticed sometime later that um, things was changing. And then when he would normally go to the nursing home with the deacon ministry on Wednesdays, and this particular Wednesday he went and he was a little late getting home, so I called him to find out, where he was and what was deterring him from being home on time. And he says, "Oh, I'm on my way. I'm at Spring Cypress and Student Airline." I said, "There's nothing over there but two gas stations." He says, "I'm at the gas station." I says, "Okay." So I waited a few minutes. I said, "That's about 10 minutes from home, if that long." And I waited and I waited and he didn't show up. So I called him again. And I says, "Where are you? What's taking you so long to get home?" I said, "Tell me what you see." He says, "I see a sign that says 290 East and 290 West." I said, "What are you doing way over there?" He says, "I'm coming home." I says, "No, you're not. You're too far over." I said, "You need to come back." I says, "What do you see?" I said, "Just tell me what stores or something I can recognize and you can tell me." Because I had used the truck that morning and went to the gym and I left my cell phone in the glove compartment. So I said, if I leave, I won't have any communication with him. So I called the Dugas and asked them what they try to find where he is because he was on 290. And the next time I
Oh,
talked to him, he says, "I see a place that says Black Hawk Golf Course." I said, "You're way away from home." And that's when I
right.
called the Dugas. And
Oh my.
they said, yeah. And Brother Al said, we'll find him. Don't worry, we'll find him. So when they finally caught up with him, he was on 99, almost to I-10.
Wow. Wow. A long way. And
So
you live way almost in Spring. It's close to,
I do I do live in Spring, right near
yeah. So he was way.
Aquinas.
So let me ask you this. Now, had you noticed anything before that? Was he just, had you noticed anything before that that might be, would have noticed or sent a red flag that maybe he was having some problems before he took off that day?
Yes, we did, but it's while he was still in the hospital up in Bryant, because that's where the closest hospital when he had the accident.
Right. I
Um,
remember he got kicked in the head from a horse, and he was really blessed to even live beyond that. But but you think that trauma caused his Alzheimer's? It was nothing else going on.
uh, no, that's what the offset was. The
Okay.
accident was
Okay.
with the horse, and we really don't know if he got kicked in the head by the horse because he and a cousin was loading the horse on the trailer, and one cousin was in the truck, and they heard a noise, and they went around to the back, and he was laid out, and so was the horse. So we don't really believe he was
Oh,
kicked
the
by a
horse was
horse.
laid out too.
Yes, so they
I
both
don't
was
remember.
laid out.
Oh my goodness, it could have been
Yeah,
something else then.
yeah, and blood was just gushing from his head. So my cousin took a towel and put the compress on it, and they took him to the hospital in Madisonville, but that's not a trauma, hospital. So that's when they life lighted him to Bryant, and that's where he was for 3 weeks. And then
Now
we
this
did
was
see
in
some.
2012, so how many years ago has that been? Almost 10 years ago? It's
It'll be
2021, yeah.
it'll be 10 years, May 24th.
Right. So tell
Yeah.
me, what has your life been like? Or I know you're keeping him in the home and you're caring for him. So what has your life been like since all of this happened?
It's not easy. I have to tell you that first of all. But I can leave him, for a short period of time if I have to. My pattern is if I have to run to the store, I do it before he get out of bed in the morning and come back, and he be still asleep. I take my walks early in the morning while he's still asleep, and I have the ring on my phone so I can tell when he's gotten up and gone outside to sit in his chair. And then when I hear that, I hurry back home. Uh, he hasn't wandered off as of yet. And I told the kids, I'm not worried about him wandering off as because everything has been made a 360 turn. I use the term lazy. I say he's lazy. He's not going to get out of that chair. You go from the chair to the swing. But yesterday, I encountered he told me, he says, I'm going out to sit in the chair. I says, okay. So I waited a few minutes and went to check to see if he was still sitting in his chair, and he wasn't there. And I kind of panicked. I walked because there's a little park down the street from us, and I said, maybe he went to the park. I said, but he didn't carry his stick with him. He has a stick that he carries with him when he go to the park. And I said, let me go upstairs and check. I went up there, and he was dead asleep in the bed.
Wow.
But yeah, so thank God.
So
for
you
that.
you trust him to be able to walk in the community by himself. I know he doesn't drive anymore by himself, correct?
No, I took the keys away from the day.
Okay.
Sister Jackie brought him home. I took.
I know he didn't like that when you took those keys away, huh?
But you know what? He didn't. He just handed them over to me. I took the truck key off the ring and gave him the house key back. And he have lost the house key so many times. And this last time he lost it, I haven't been able to find it. So I don't even give him a house key anymore.
Okay. And so is he
so,
pretty cooperative with you as a man? I know, and he's a huge man. I mean, how tall is he?
6'6".
6'6". And so he's a huge man. So how is he in obeying you or doing what you tell him to do? Is he ever agitated about it or resistant?
More resistant than agitated.
Okay.
I have to say it more than one time what I'm trying to tell him. I says, okay, it's time to go upstairs and get in the shower. I had a shower. I says, when did you have a shower? I had one last night. I says, no, you didn't. I said, you're going to take your shower this morning. I'll take it in 3 days. Everything in his sequence is either 3 days or 25 years. If you ask him how long we've been married, he says 25 years. If you ask him how long did he worked 25 years. And then he'll tell you, I haven't had anything eat in 3 days. When are you going to feed me?
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing his mom used to say, because she had it too. And she'll say, she'll call me and says, Alice, come over here and fix me some dinner. They haven't fed me in 3 days.
Wow.
I says, oh, it's not. Yeah. So he's doing the same thing in the 3-day increment too.
He remembers the 3 days. So let me ask you this too, and I guess this might be a sign for me to bring Erica and them back. So before I bring them back and talk about, is it hereditary? Because I heard you say his mother had it. Did the doctors say it was hereditary?
No, not as yet. But my second daughter, she's going to do the test to see if it is hereditary. She works for Alzheimer. She just started about a year ago. And she's going to take the test to see, because 2 of his sisters have it now also.
Wow. What age did they get it? So I guess with him is in the 70s?
He was in his 70s, yeah. Okay. And his sisters they're in their 70s.
In their 70s.
One is the oldest sister that has it. She's 80, but the other sister's in her 70s.
Well, I'm going to bring Erica and them back and ask them about that too, because I have an aunt who now has it, and she's in her 70s, and I thought that was pretty early. I thought it would be like in the 80s, but typically your age group. Erica, um, thank you so much, Mama Alice. Did you have anything, any advice or anything for a wife caring for a husband? Anything else you wanted to
Uh,
say?
yeah, I would advise them to get in. I, I have him into three gathering places where we go first Thursday, second Monday, and the third Tuesday of the month. That's an organization by caregivers and its care partners that's in reference to that. They have these different locations. Most of them are Catholic or Methodist churches that they have them.
Oh yeah. Is it like an
Yeah,
adult daycare?
it's something like that, but it's only for 3.5 hours. They do
Yeah.
craft, they do exercise, and they
Like a
play
Mother's
music,
Day out. See, this is what I'm saying.
something
And you kind of
simple.
go back to like what you have for your kids. You know, kids, you have a
Hmm.
Mother's Day out where you go do your grocery shopping, whatever. They have in like 3 hours. Then they have some that's an all day daycare, but you got to pick up your kids. You have to pick up your husband or whoever. So I know they have some of those. Those are great.
Yeah, I have him enrolled in. We go three times a month.
3 times a month. Wonderful. And you can
Hmm.
play games and do some things that are fun. I think
Right,
that's the main thing too. I would think is to keep them occupied into something that they enjoy. So find out what they enjoy. Okay, thank
right.
you, Mama Alice. I appreciate you sharing your story, and I want to just commend you too for caring for your husband. I know it cannot be easy because I know your life kind of pretty much goes on hold to take care of him.
Yes, it
So
does.
we honor you for that, for honoring your vows and taking care of your husband.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Erica and Miss Carolyn. Okay, let's talk about, okay, these are wonderful people who have decided that they're going to take care of their loved ones in their home. But what happens when you, let me see, I'm in the wrong. What happens when you just, when is it that you just cannot have, take care of a loved one in your home? I think, Erica, you probably have a lot of people call you. They call you or and say this is going on. What do you hear?
Yeah, a lot of times, social workers usually are the ones that call me the most to
Okay.
connect me to families
Okay.
because the same way that Mama Alice was saying that he had been in a rehab,
Uh-huh.
lots of times they'll have different incidents and end up in some type of rehab. And then social
Okay.
workers and case managers from the hospitals and things like that will call me and say, "Hey, I have this family that I need you to talk to because their loved one is too much." And
Right.
everybody is not meant to be a caregiver. And so Kamala said it, and I want to emphasize it. Do not feel guilty. Everybody is not meant to be a caregiver. People experience caregiver burnout in a lot of bad ways, and it doesn't work out well for the caregiver or the person that they're caring for. So I don't advise everybody to take care of their loved ones because it's not for everybody. It's a blessing when you can, and that's your gift, but it's not for everybody. And I've seen
Right.
some situations where it went horribly wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say that because, we really try to do my mother-in-law like that, but she would get up in the middle of the night, and thank God we had an alarm system because she was headed out the door.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember one night specifically, it was 3 times in a row, and my husband was sound asleep, and I'm not. And I got upset, and I said, "Don't you get out of that bed anymore?" And I felt bad about it afterwards, but she didn't get up anymore. But still, I'm thinking if we didn't have an alarm system on, she'd have been gone by the time we got up that next morning. So
Hmm. So
if
it
you're
can
not
be
able
very
to work,
dangerous. It can
yes,
be
it can be
very
very
dangerous.
dangerous for them. And like I
And the
said, one of our
same way
members,
that
yeah,
Kamala was saying, you have to put locks on,
on the
cabinets
doors.
and drawers and things that you would not even think of. I've had a client that they saw a bottle of shampoo and was starting to drink the shampoo
Yeah,
because they
yeah,
don't know. She just
they don't
knows
know.
she's thirsty and wants to drink something and saw a liquid.
It's just like a child. I mean, it
That's
really
right.
is that you have to really,
And I would have to say that it's worse than a child. And
yes,
the
because they've
reason I
been there
say
as an
that is
adult.
because that they're an adult, and they have their mind that they
Right.
want to do what they want to do, which is what they've been doing all their life, that
Oh
they
my
feel
goodness.
like where they are mentally is just fine with them. They
Yeah.
don't understand.
And these
So
kids don't, and there's kids are trying to stop me from being an adult and they can't tell. So let
exactly.
me ask you this. So, because our time is going to come out in a few minutes. So the time that you know that it's time to ask for some help, and like you said, sometimes people, the social worker will help ask you for help. But if the social worker does not ask you or does not make that connection, how can people get in touch with you for you to assess their situation, see what you can do to help? Because I know there's some things I've called you for many times for people, and sometimes I'm saying I need you to get some things, some help for them in the house. This person is, about to lose it, and they're doing their very best, but they need some in-care support. And then sometimes you will go ahead and assess that, and then we'll go to Miss Carolyn and talk about how you shifted on to Miss
Mhm.
Carolyn to help.
Mhm.
So how do they get in touch with you? What do you do?
So my phone number is easy. I mean, people can call me directly. I'm a certified senior advisor, which just basically says that I know. Oh, Johnny put it up on the screen.
Mhm.
Basically, just says that I know a little bit about a lot of things related to seniors, and Alzheimer's and dementia is one of them. And I don't mind, even if somebody wants me to come to their house, like they decide that they want to keep their loved one at home. And sometimes I'll go to the house and just walk through to say, okay, you see this? This is how your loved one would see that. Or if you just put a little lock a little bit higher on the door, because
Right.
people with Alzheimer's tend to look straight ahead and not up and down.
Right.
So just changing little things will allow you to be able to keep your loved one in the home. And then when it gets beyond that, or you're no longer able to function at home with the loved one, then it's time to talk about, moving them to other communities. And sometimes it's even so much better because these places are just like homes, or they're just small communities or apartments or things where it can be like you're still going to visit grandma and grandpa. So they
Right.
have their own place, and you just go visit and do everything you
And
didn't
they're
put in a
trained.
caregiving role.
Yeah, they've been trained to do this, and we have not
Yes,
been trained to do it. And the place is
that's
set up for security and all those kind of things. So, talk
mhm.
about Miss Carolyn. I know a lot of times you say you refer Miss Carolyn. Why do you choose her place to refer people?
I choose her place because Carolyn has this patience and expertise that we don't understand as caregivers and just as family members. Like I just say, join their journey because we don't understand where their brain is, but Carolyn goes along with where they are.
Okay,
Like sometimes somebody might be in their mind, they might be back when they were 30 years old,
she can handle it though.
and she can handle that and just
Okay,
go with it and have that level of expertise for
good.
people that wherever they are. She meets them wherever
She can
they
meet them.
are.
Okay, Miss Carolyn. Come on, Miss Carolyn. I'm loving your background. I'm looking at those colors. I love those warm colors. It
Thank
tells a
you.
lot about you. Welcome. Tell us about how we can tell us about your center first of all. Brag on yourself. Come on.
It's been open for 2 years. I
Okay.
was in the corporate world and I left it.
Mhm.
I have 5 rooms, 5 residents I can take. I Yeah, I'm just caring. Is just in my nature, just to care for people. Like I said earlier, it's not what you say, it's how you say
How you
things.
say things. That is so
We
important.
if we live in Texas and the resident comes out with her pillowcase full and she's going to New York to the Yankees game, hey, what time's the bus leave? You know,
Wow.
um,
Wow.
and a lot of people will try to redirect her by, no, we're not going there, and take her to her room, unpack her suitcase,
Wow.
and it's just back and forth. And I'm like, you're upsetting yourself and you're upsetting the resident.
Resident.
As long
Exactly.
as that resident's not hurting herself or anyone else, Let her go. Let her think
Or
she's
hold
going.
the suitcase and let her sit right there
No,
with it and wait on whoever.
When it get too dark and she says, well, the bus should have been here. I said, well, I don't think that bus was supposed to come until tomorrow.
Just go with them with the conversation.
Just go with the
You're not trying to
conversation.
combat them. Go with them with the conversation.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I mean by join the journey.
Yeah. So,
like
Miss Carolyn,
phrase,
okay.
Erica.
So you have a facility. Does someone live in the facility 24/7? And do they cook breakfast? What do they do for the clients?
No one lives there, but the resident. Okay. I have staff there that's 24/7. I have staff three different shifts. We have breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks all day long. Okay. Right. So if you come in needing nourishment, they're going to get it. Okay.
Okay.
We eat all day.
They're worried about the food bill not being paid. They're going to do that. Do you have activities there? We got a couple of more minutes. I want you to tell us, are there activities there?
Activities. We do activities for the holidays. I have family gatherings. We just do everything, we watch TV.
It sounds like to me, Miss Carolyn, that your place is like a home away from home.
Yes.
And the staff is there and you don't have to worry about bringing staff into your home or trying to find a place. So I see that they've got your phone number. It's called Carolyn Senior Lodge. Okay. You're at the lodge, huh?
Yes.
Well,
they just,
now talk to me about cost.
And it's not just the residents' homes, it's the family's home.
It's a family
as
home.
Well. And I make that clear to the families upon signing paperwork. This is not just going to be mom or dad's home. This is your home as well. The kitchen is never closed. Mm-hmm. If someone wants a sandwich at 2:00 in the morning or a bowl of cereal at 2:00 in the morning, the caregiver is going to get that bowl of cereal for that resident.
Oh, I love it. I love that.
Okay.
Because sometimes you want a bowl of cereal. Okay, tell me about price right quick. We've got about one more minute. What does this cost? How do you afford it? Because I know with my mother-in-law, when we first we just really could not afford it. It was very expensive. And I know Erica pulled in a lot of times to figure out, how do we get some money? How do we get this paid? So who wants to talk? Erica, you want to talk about the money part? What does it cost? Or
the price varies. The price varies. And I would say that Carolyn is probably in the mid-range. Okay. She's not the high, she's not the low. So in our area, in this Northwest corridor, probably the least expensive you can find is about $1,500 a month.
$1,500 a month. Okay, which is like an apartment. That's like on the low end.
And that's probably about the least expensive. And then you can go up to like $6,500 a month.
$6,500 a month. Wow.
There are places with like every amenity under the sun, nurses on duty, all kinds of things, which sometimes your loved one may not need that. It just
and you're being charged. I'm sorry. And you're being charged for that. I'm sorry, Erica, to interrupt you.
No, but you're right that there's amenities that they won't even use, but you're being charged.
You're paying for it.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Carolyn. You were saying? Go ahead.
A lot of the bigger facilities I like to call it nickel and dime you. Okay. Mm-hmm. My facility is all inclusive. Everything's included. The only thing that's not included is the personal hygiene products.
Okay.
Everything is included. Okay.
Yeah. And everybody wants to buy their own lotion and shampoo anyway because of their different hair and texture skin.
So say, for instance, the resident comes in taking 3 pills 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. Next month, the doctor sees this resident and increases their medication. Okay. Well, some places will charge for that extra service. Some places will charge for the extra service of toileting. Mm-hmm. We're all inclusive.
All inclusive. Yes. Well, listen, our time is up, ladies. We've got your phone numbers there. I would just tell you guys to reach out to these ladies. You can tell Erica is an expert in what she does. I've used her many, many times to do that. Miss Carolyn seems like a warm, wonderful person that I would love to put my loved one in if I had to. Okay, we all try to keep our loved ones and do the best we can. But if there comes a time when you need to, that these are your professionals that can help you, guide you, and the right way to the right people. And Miss Carolyn sounds like she has a wonderful place. I'm going to have to come over and visit to take a look at it, because guess what? You know, the baby boomers, we're all getting up there, and this is going to be a service that either we may need one day soon, or our loved one may need something, or even a friend of ours that we can be able to recommend. And we want to have dignity in our life and care for those people. So anyway, thank you guys for coming, and thank y'all of my guests. You all were amazing. The stories, you have helped somebody to have a better life and to care better for their loved ones. So thank you for joining me at Tea Talk. I will see you next week for another wonderful topic. Share, share, share.